What if the story of our beginning was not what we were told in school? What if, hidden beneath the dust of ancient ruins and the whispers of forgotten civilizations, there was a secret, one that linked humanity not to chance, not to evolution, alone, but to visitors from the stars? It is a question that both unsettles and fascinates. Did the Anunnaki really create humans? The evening sky stretched across the small town of Ashford, painting the horizon with shades of copper and violet. Nathan Carter sat quietly on the worn wooden steps of his porch, listening to the soft hum of cicadas rising from the trees. At 42, he was a man who carried the weight of quiet curiosity. Nathan was not a scientist. He was not an archaeologist. He was simply a schoolteacher with a love for old stories. By day, he taught history to restless teenagers. By night, he read about the mysteries of the past, Atlantis, pyramids, lost civilizations. Yet it was the tale of the Anunnaki that tugged at him most strongly. He had first stumbled upon the name years ago in a second-hand bookstore, where a yellowed paperback claimed that beings from another world had once descended to Earth and shaped the destiny of mankind. Since then, the idea had lingered in him like an unanswered question. The world told him one story: that human had risen from simple beginnings, shaped by time and chance. But the old Sumerian tablets seemed to whisper another, and Nathan, N.E., the quiet of his small-town nights, wanted to know which story was true. Life in Ashford was predictable. Nathan's students cared more about football games than cuneiform tablets. His neighbors shook their heads when he spoke of ancient myths. Even his sister Claire, who loved him dearly, told him to keep his feet on the ground, but Nathan could not let it go. Every time he closed his classroom door, every time he held chalk in his hand and wrote about Mesopotamia on the board, he felt a pull, a soft voice saying, "Look deeper. There is more here." One autumn evening, as the leaves curled and the air grew colder, Nathan found himself sitting at his desk long after his students had gone home. On his computer screen glowed a digital image of a Sumerian carving, tall figures with strange helmets. Human-like, yet not. Their hands stretched out toward smaller beings who knelt before them. The carving looked less like myth and more like memory. And the question burned inside him. Were the Anunnaki real? Did they touch the lives of our ancestors? Did they make us? Nathan decided to follow the trail. At first, it was just late-night reading, articles, translations, debates between scholars. Some dismissed the idea outright, calling it pseudo-history. Others raised questions that no one could quite answer. Why did the Sumerians, the very first known civilization, seem to suddenly appear, fully formed, with writing, law, astronomy, and agriculture? Why did they speak of beings who came from the heavens, teaching them knowledge? Why did they call them Anunnaki, those who from the heavens came down? As weeks passed, Nathan's curiosity grew into something deeper. He began reaching out to others, online forums, late-night video calls with strangers who shared his interest. Some believed the Anunnaki were real visitors from another planet, perhaps from the fabled world Nibiru. Others thought they were symbolic, representing forces of nature or rulers disguised as gods. Nathan did not know what to believe, but he felt he was chasing a shadow that was just beyond his reach. One night, while scrolling through messages on a forum, Nathan received a reply from a woman named Evelyn Hayes. She introduced herself as an archaeologist who had once worked in Iraq, near the ruins of ancient Sumer. Her words were simple. "I don't usually talk about this, but I've seen something. I can't explain. If you truly want to know more, we should meet." Nathan felt a chill as he read those words. He did not know this woman, yet her message seemed to arrive at the exact moment he needed it. They arranged to meet halfway, in a quiet coffee shop in Denver. When Nathan arrived, he found Evelyn waiting. She was in her late 50s, her hair streaked with silver, her eyes sharp but kind. She carried herself like someone who had walked among ruins and carried their dust home with her. Over steaming cups of coffee, Evelyn told her story. Years ago, while working on an excavation, she had uncovered tablets that were never shown to the public. They spoke of beings who fashioned humans from clay, mixing their own essence with the life already on Earth. These tablets had symbols she had never seen in textbooks. Before she could translate more, the tablets were taken away, classified, she said, by officials who arrived too quickly and asked too few questions. Her voice lowered as she leaned toward Nathan. I can't prove it. But what I read suggested that we are not just children of Earth. We are children of something greater. Nathan's breath caught. It was the twist he had never expected. To hear confirmation not from conspiracy theorists, but from a woman of science. After their meeting, Nathan's nights grew heavier with thought. He found himself staring at the stars more often, wondering which one might have been home to the Anunnaki. He walked through his classroom, looking at his students, and asking himself quietly, what are we really? The idea was not frightening. It was strangely comforting. If the Anunnaki had shaped humanity, then perhaps our longing for meaning, our search for the divine, was not foolish, but written into us from the beginning. Still, questions haunted him. Why did the Anunnaki leave? Did they abandon us, or were we always meant to stand on our own? And most of all, would they ever return? Nathan tried to share his thoughts with Claire one evening as they sat on her back porch watching her kids play. Maybe, Nathan said softly, we're not just products of chance. Maybe someone helped us along the way. Claire smiled, gently, the way older sisters do when they think their younger brother is wandering too far. Nathan, even if that were true, what difference does it make? We're still here. We still have to live our lives, raise our kids, be good people. Her words sank deep. Claire was right. Whether humans were made by God, by nature, or by visitors from beyond the stars, the task of being human did not change. We still had to love, to choose kindness, to build lives worth living. Yet, Nathan could not let go. He felt that knowing the truth mattered, not because it changed daily life, but because it shaped the story of who we are. Months later, Evelyn invited Nathan to join her at a small lecture in New Mexico. She would be speaking not as an archaeologist, but as a storyteller, sharing the myths of the Sumerians. Nathan sat in the audience, listening as she recited the ancient tales of gods descending on wings of fire, of humans molded to serve, but rising to dream, of knowledge passed down like a torch in the dark. Her words painted images in his mind: golden skies, towering beings, the first humans lifting their eyes in wonder. And as he listened, Nathan realized something. The truth of the Anunnaki was not in whether every detail was fact. The truth was in the longing these stories carried, the longing to know where we come from and why we are here. Whether myth or memory, the story of the Anunnaki gave voice to something deep in the human spirit. The desire to believe that we are connected to something greater than ourselves. That night, Nathan walked outside into the desert air. The stars shimmered above him, endless and silent. He thought of his students back in Ashford, of his sister and her children, of Evelyn with her silver hair and guarded eyes, and he whispered to himself, maybe the Anunnaki made us, maybe they didn't. But what matters is that we are here, alive, capable of love, of wonder, of building a future. The desert wind carried his words away, and Nathan felt a calmness settle over him. For the first time, he was not chasing shadows. He was simply standing beneath the sky, grateful to be part of its mystery. Weeks later, Nathan returned to his classroom. On the chalkboard, he wrote a single question for his students. Where do you believe we come from? The room filled with quiet conversation. Some said science, some said God. A few even whispered about aliens. Nathan smiled, listening, because he knew now that the answer was less important than the search itself. The search bound humanity together, generation after generation, across cultures and beliefs, and perhaps, somewhere in the vastness of the universe, the Anunnaki, real or imagined, were listening too.